Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Got G-Sportz in the chat. G, what's up, man?
What it do?
A little productive weekend of sports. Not for the Saints, but for LSU, for other teams in the SEC. We're going to be reacting to the AP poll Week 5 edition, LSU notes, injury news, potential O-line shuffles, and a brief glimpse into what the SEC schedules are going to look like going forward. G, got some people that are unhappy. Some people aren't surprised. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know how to feel about these SEC annual opponents. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes, though. LSU's injury report. This has been on a lot of people's mind, especially after last week. Caden Durham with the ankle sprain. Everybody's holding their breath. Good Lord. Can't lose your X factor. Can't lose your big back that is really one of your mainstay offensive pieces, especially in the absence of someone like Trudez Green. Good news. The MRI came back clean. They're not worried about a heavy ankle sprain. He'll be day to day. G, this is where I think you lean into Coach Frank Wilson's philosophy, though. Ride the hot hand. And right now, if you ask me, through what I saw last week, your hot hand is Juwan Johnson. So take a little bit of those snaps off of Caden, try to recharge his battery a little bit. And I say look for 8 this Saturday. And I mean, look, you got a lot of names you could choose from. You got 28, you got 22, of course, 29 will still be out there. Hell, you could throw 0 in the backfield if you're really feeling froggy. Trudez Green's listed as healthy. We talked about that a little bit on our post-game breakdown. My takeaway from it, put him out there as a decoy. If he's out there able to suit up and you might need him, save him, put him on a back burner. Don't give him 5 targets and have him take shots after shots after shots. I feel like that wouldn't be smart. Gabe Rutherford would be out. He was talking about pieces that could slide in, maybe a Dylan Carpenter, maybe a Shanklin, and Wes Weeks could potentially play this Saturday. He's been practicing this week. G, what's your takeaways on this injury report and with the Caden Durham news?
Like we've been talking about since spring ball, it's time for Caleb Jackson to get his opportunity to showcase what we've been looking for since he signed with LSU coming out of high school. And I think this Saturday could be a great chance for him to get back in the fold. You know, you still got the freshman Harlem Barrett who showed flashes this season that he has the potential to be a game changer. But I think Caden Durham will be all right. You know, when they say day to day, usually they play. You know, he just got to stay off it a little bit, make sure he getting it, so he's soaking it in some Epsom salt, right? And letting the trainers do what they're doing or every day leading up to Saturday. And then
Get
far as
loose.
what and then as far as West Weeks, man, you know, they gonna need him because the way he's been playing since game one, especially with him and his brother, they bring a whole different dimension to their defense when they're on the field. No disrespect
Mm-hmm.
to Devon Keys, but I know Blake Baker feels like he can do a lot more for schematic wise when West Weeks is out there. So I'm glad to hear that he's probably gonna play on Saturday.
I agree. Yeah, I think that this defense, it's moving and firing on all cylinders. You don't really want to put anything in the machine or anything in the gear, so to speak, before a matchup like Saturday, especially against Lane Kiffin, dog. You know he's going to come out firing. You know he's going to be throwing that tempo all over the place. Here's something I want to ask you about, though, because I've kind of been worrying about this. This reminds me not entirely of the Texas A&M situation because Weigman didn't get benched because of injury. He got benched because of performance, G. But it still is in the back of my mind the fact that Austin Simmons might not be your starter for Ole Miss. So with that being said, how do you prepare for 2 quarterbacks this week while trying to make sure that you're not doing too much and trying to cast too much of a wide net without fixating on a few things? Because it's a double-sided sword. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I can promise you this. Blake Bigger and that staff will be on 10 this whole week preparing for both quarterbacks. They won't have another mistake like they did last year, not preparing for Marcel Reed. I could bet everything in my bank account that they ain't gonna let that happen again.
It's a lot.
Having said all of that, I think they only got like 2 games to go off of with the backup. You only got 1 game of Austin Simmons, so they don't have a whole lot to work with. The only thing you're gonna be able to do is just kind of go off of what Lane Kiffin's what he usually does, schematic wise and formation wise in his pass, and kind of go off that. Because far
Mm-hmm.
as tendencies and things of that nature, it's gonna be hard to get a good grasp on what these guys do well and what they don't do well on such limited film. But
And it's
I think
yeah.
I think either way though, Blaker had his team, this defense ready to go, and I think Lane Kiffin will have to probably get in his trick bag on Saturday against this defense. I don't think they're gonna be able to, especially with whether the backup starts or Austin Simmons starts, knowing they have lack of experience and you about to go against one of the top defenses in the country, I think Lane's going to do some things that he's not used to doing. I think he's going to be a little unorthodox on Saturday, and Blake got to be prepared for it.
And that opens up the room for mistakes. That opens up LSU's defense to be able to capitalize on some turnover situations. And look, let's dial it back to the last few years of LSU and Ole Miss. It's going to be a shootout, in my opinion. It's going to be an offensive firehouse. LSU's offense is going to have to put up at least 24 points, dog. And I think the most we've put up all season is, what, 20? Oh, no, I lied. Last week was 56. Look at me. But against a quality opponent, it's been 20. 20 and then 17 to Clemson, which is quality opponents. They're both 1-3. We'll get to that in a minute. My point is, though, is that Garrett Nussmeier and this offense are going to have to be moving a little bit. I don't want to see any type of slow starts. I don't want to see them in the second half down 2 possessions, putting the defense in stressful situations, because, hey, that complementary football is the key to this, especially in the SEC, especially at this start, because this is a pivotal point, G. Everybody wants to see what LSU can do against a top team. You got number 13, you're on the road, and it's an SEC matchup. I think all eyes are going to be on Oxford. It's at 2:30. It ain't prime time, but it ain't going to make it work. I want to ask you about something else. Wesson Davis. We were talking about him at that right tackle spot. We saw DJ Chester get in the second half against Southeastern. Brian Kelly came out on the podium today and said, look, that's Wesson Davis's job. That's him. He's got the job security. I want to get you to react to that, because obviously Kerry's current. He's been a bright spot, at least, on this offensive line in terms of their future, in terms of the young depth. Brian Kelly also, gave him a credit, said he's got the size, just needs to get the technical standpoint down. Talk about the offensive line and any changes you think we could see.
If I'm not mistaken, DJ Chester will have to sit out the first half of the Ole Miss game, right?
That targeting. That's what I would imagine.
Yeah, I think he have to sit out the whole first half. But like I said in the post game about Weston Davis, bro, people got to remember this kid is just a redshirt freshman. This is his first year starting. He didn't get any time on last year.
Yep.
So to think he was just gonna come in day one and be Emory Jones or Will Campbell, that's an anomaly. That's uncommon. Mm-hmm. And so we got to give him some grace. And I think as the season goes on, he'll get better and better. But if I'm Brian Kelly, if this continues until week 5, week 6, I do think they need to come together as a staff and kind of reevaluate. Do they want to keep him at that spot going forward? Because if you're trying to win a national championship, and that should be the goal, right? They're trying to hold that crystal ball up at the end of the year. Yep. And if you're trying to do that, the deeper you get in your schedule, and then when you start getting into the 12-team playoffs, your mistakes get so skewed because they're going to try to exploit any weaknesses that you have. And if Weston Davis is a weakness, you best believe when you go against a team in that 12-team playoff, they're going to try to exploit that. So yeah. It's going to be, I'm curious to see how Weston Davis going to keep elevating and overcoming, his struggles as of late to start the season.
And I'll say this, too. We were talking about who's going to fill in. We were talking about Kerry's Kern, potentially DJ Chester. There's an opportunity for Josh Thompson to slide to right tackle, moving Cohen Eccles at that right guard spot. Now, that is a crazy worst-case scenario move, but I just wanted to point that out as well, that you do have multiple options, hypothetically, if push come to shove.
Yeah, but I think DJ Chester, I don't think he'll ever play tackle.
Oh, yeah.
He'll either play guard or center. So now moving Josh Thompson to right tackle, I think that's a possibility.
Yep. I saw those matchups and those personnel a little bit in camp, not much, but especially in spring, you saw Josh Thompson at right. So you never know. They were cross-training him there for a reason, and you might have to go toward here. Let's look at these SEC schedule, G. They put out the annual opponents. If you don't know what the annual opponents are, SEC teams will have 3 opponents they play every year for the next 4 years, because it will be revisited and reevaluated and changed. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to say about this, because a lot of people are going to look at this and kind of overreact, right? They're going to say, no, LSU, Alabama, this is crazy. And I agree. Look, that's a huge rivalry. That's my favorite rivalry. That's one of the biggest rivalries in sports. I got to sit on it a little bit, though, G. And I'm going to let you sound off after, but I got to sit on it, and I got to think, yeah, you're going to play them once every 2 years, twice every 4 years. And like I said, after they reevaluate this through these next 4 seasons, they're going to put that game back on the schedule. I mean, come on. And here's another note I'll say about this. We were talking about who's going to get the shitty draw, who's going to get a bad pool, who's going to get 3 teams that are absolutely just smacking them belt to ass every single year. It's hard to say. I think they did really good in terms of balancing the competition. Now, here's another trend that I've noticed. Gee, let's take LSU, for example. Arkansas, A&M, Ole Miss, all those are neighboring states. I'm seeing a common trend here. It's either they're in the state or they're right next to them. I think 80% of these are neighboring states in terms of the entirety of these matchups. What's your takeaway on this and LSU losing one of the best rivalries in the entire sport?
Ridiculous. How in the hell is Alabama not one of the 3 teams that they're gonna play every year for the next 4 years?
We thought that was a shoe.
I just don't understand that. When Bama and LSU play every year, bro, you don't even see nobody driving on the roads. It look like a ghost town wherever you at. That's how much people tune into their game, especially when they both pretty good and at the top of the SEC. Unless Kalen DeBoer about to piss down his leg these next year and a half, this is going to be something that I think the SEC is going to regret.
Yep.
Because that rivalry is one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Okay, I thought Florida should have been 1 of the 3. All right, you put Ole Miss and Texas A&M. I mean, you put Ole Miss and Texas A&M in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the Ole Miss and Texas A&M. I could deal with that. But Arkansas, bro? Arkansas? You gonna replace Bama with Arkansas? Man, put me on the committee, man.
Yeah, it's true. Like, bro, the Golden Boot don't mean that much.
Arkansas. Arkansas? Come on, man.
Look, and to your point, I thought if anything, bro, my top 2 rivalries for LSU were Alabama and then Florida. Look at what they just did against Florida, bro. I mean, a lot of people, dude, it was like a 10-point spread walking into the game. Everybody thought LSU was winning. The stadium's still packed, rocking. Everybody, it sucks to be a Florida game. Like, bro, people hype. That's a huge game every year. Bama, same thing. Don't have to explain it. I mean, you're living under a rock if you don't know. I feel, though, like they're going to have to regret it. This is going to have to be a situation where, I don't know if it's Greg Sankey. I don't know who's making the decision, but it will be reevaluated. It will be tweaked. This is the first time. There's a process that's going to have to be worked out here. But this is another thing I thought about. This game in Tuscaloosa, it just got that much more meaningful. LSU and Alabama, you don't know if you're playing next year. So whoever wins this game got bragging rights for potentially 2 years, which will be the longest gap you've had in, 80 years? I mean, geez. This is going to be a punch to the gut for LSU fans, but I think you're going to be able to bounce back from this. My guy G's having some data problems right now. We're going to keep the show going, though. Moving to the AP poll. Talk about our rankings. Talk about the top 25, a couple of shifts, a couple of changes. People weren't happy with the AP poll. G, what's up? You can hear me?
Yeah, it was going in and out.
All right. We'll react to the AP poll, man. I was saying people were upset, dog. People were upset that Miami moved up, that LSU dropped. I'm going to be objective here. I had this last week. This was almost damn near the exact poll I had, but I didn't have Penn State right there. They're giving Penn State benefit of the doubt. You know what? I get it. I feel like you can go either way. You could put LSU at 3, you could put Penn State at 3, vice versa. This weekend, you're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of swaps because Penn State plays Oregon. You finally get to see them against a top 10 AP team. LSU, by that same token, plays a top 15 team on the road. So if LSU wins and Penn State loses, obviously they're going to be able to get that back. I'm not too mad about LSU dropping, G. I mean, it's week 5. You got a lot of time. You're still in the playoffs. By this, you're still the number 1 ranked team in the SEC. There's a lot of things that you can take away here. Miami, though, they deserve this rank, and I ain't gonna lie, because if you look at their last 4 weeks, 3 quality opponents, Notre Dame, USF, and I'm going to give them Florida as a quality opponent because it's still an SEC team. LSU, I can kind of see why they dropped because their big wins are Clemson, who is struggling right now, 1-3, just got obliterated, and obviously Florida's having their issues as well. I'm not trying to say LSU is good. LSU's great. LSU's one of the best defenses in college football, and Garrett Nussmeier is about this close away from being in the form we expected preseason. It's just a fact that I think Miami showed a little bit more as of this point, as of week 5. So I can kind of expect that Miami has a nice little test going forward. They got a bye week, then they got Florida State on the road. And I feel like the Florida State team, it's going to be, 1, it's going to be tough because it's on the road. 2, it's going to be tough because Norvell's got it cooking right now. So Miami and Florida State, they're going to be revving heads a little bit. You're going to see what direction the ACC really takes at that point. Sound off though on this top 5. Because I'm not going to lie. I don't got no changes for it. I 100% agree with this top 5. I wouldn't move anything this week, which is ironic.
I don't know. What?
All right. G's having problems. We're just going to keep it going, man. Ohio State number 1, Miami number 2, Penn State number 3, LSU number 4, Georgia number 5. Like I said, I'm not moving anything. The only thing I could see anybody moving or anybody disagreeing with would be the Penn State spot. It would be them at number 3. Maybe you could put LSU at number 3 and them at number 4, as I said. Now, here's my winners and my losers for this week. My winners, I'm going to go Oklahoma, I'm going to go Texas Tech, and I'm going to go Miami. Oklahoma obviously is a winner because you proved yourself as one of the top teams in the SEC. And I'm not talking about a mid-level team that might be able to get to the playoffs. I'm talking about you are a top 3 SEC team, and I'm standing on that hill, and nobody's going to be able to knock me off of it. John Mateer's a dog. He's a Heisman candidate, and it's not just John. It's the entire defense. I think they got 10 sacks against Jackson Arnold and Auburn. It was a phenomenal game. Now, is Auburn a great team? Yes. I'm going to advocate for them to be ranked because I feel like Auburn dropping out of the top 25 is ridiculous. You got teams like Notre Dame, who's 1-2, clinging on to dear life. Illinois got beat by like 50 points. They're ranked at number 23. By the way, Illinois crushed my parlays this week in Heartbreak City. I don't get how teams like that are ranked above an Auburn. Oklahoma proved themselves against a top SEC team. Another winner, Texas Tech. Now you're a college football playoff contender for sure. The Big 12 goes through Texas Tech. We were talking about a rebuild this season. We were talking about a college football playoff sleeper that hit the transfer portal and address key issues that they had to be able to fix to move forward and get to this point. Crossed them off the list, hit the portal hard, got that all money in check, and now Texas Tech is a threat, not just to the Big 12, but to the entirety of college football. Not going to lie to you. Miami, that's another one of my winners. I explained why. That's a top team in the country. Can't lie to you. Carson Beck, hats off, dog. You're playing really, really well. My losers, Illinois, come on, man. You can't do that. You can't be ranked top 10 and go out there and get a 60 ball dropped on your head. It's barbecue chicken alert. What would Shaq say? One of the worst matchups I've seen or could potentially see all season long. Now, I'm going to say Utah is a loser just because you were at home, favored against Texas Tech. That loss is going to be a thorn in your side all season long, especially when it comes time to net moments. When the College Football Playoff Committee has to decide, are you worth it? They're going to have this moment under the microscope for the entirety of the season. This is a big L for Utah. And lastly, Auburn's my loser, but like I said, just because they dropped, like, bro, they should be in the top 25. They took one here. The AP poll, I don't have any changes for the top 5. I don't have any complaints for those. I do have a complaint for Auburn not being in over 1-2 Notre Dame and over Illinois, who just got mopped to the fences, because Auburn would probably beat both of those teams. Notre Dame might give them a little bit of a competition run. Illinois, I don't think they got it in them. I can't lie to you. We're going to wrap this stream up talking about Dabo Swinney. Now, I'm going to say something interesting here because a lot of people are putting him on a hot seat, and I can understand why. 1-3 start. I'm going to be his advocate here, ironically enough, because there's a multitude of reasons. One, this is his first time ever starting 1-3. They've had 8. Last 10 years, they've won 8 of the ACC championships. Either way, the past is the past. What about the present? What have you done for me lately? He's got a $60 million buyout. First things first, way too much money. You're in the NIL era. Not only are you paying your coach, his coaches, the front office, you're paying everybody. You're paying quarterbacks. You're paying halfbacks. You're paying backup quarterbacks. You're backup halfbacks. You're paying every single person on your team. There's a rev element to this, or a rev share, excuse me. There's a lot of different elements to recruiting and the transfer portal that you're going to have to just try to move toward and actually refresh your process. I don't think throwing $60 million at Dabo, going hire a new head coach is going to get Clemson back to that point. What's going to get Clemson back to that point is take the money you were going to buy out Dabo with and go in the portal. If Dabo Swinney doesn't want to change his process now, staring in the face of a potential termination from a university that everybody thought he'd retire from, if that doesn't change his process, I don't know what will. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result. Dabo, you're not getting a different result, bro. This is going to be the result you get every single season. Nick Saban said the same thing on College Game Day. College football has evolved. If you're not going to change with it, you will get left behind. And this 1-3 season won't be the only one. Now, here's another point that I'm going to give to Dabo and why he should not be kicked out. Because look at Mike Norvell. Last season, 2-10. Everybody would have signed off on buying him out and getting him out of Tallahassee. Didn't happen. Flash forward one season, and a Caleb Castellanos later, you're number 8 team in the country. And Florida State could potentially beat Miami and run the table and go to the college football playoff as the ACC number 1 seed. I'm not trying to say that that's going to happen. I'm just saying 1 year can change a lot, especially 1 year in the transfer portal when you are throwing bread at a situation that you need to address. Like, I don't think the boosters should be putting pressure on them to get rid of the coach that got them a successful, little run to the top of college football. Because every year you can consider Clemson a top team. They were ranked number 4 preseason. There's another thing, too. They were losing wide receivers. People were getting hurt. The top 3 guys in the wide receiver room were out for 2 weeks. And I'm not trying to give them excuses. I'm just trying to say sometimes this is the luck of the draw. Who's healthy? Who's getting the most penalties? What way is the ball bouncing? Is the weather bad? I mean, shit, they had a rain delay at halftime. There's a lot of things going wrong. I just don't think you make it worse by digging yourself a financial hole. Look, spend it if you got it. But it just seems a little bit a little stupid to me, quite frankly. Not going to lie to you. If you look at the way that LSU handled things the first few years of Brian Kelly, did they have the best transfer portal strategy or the best recruiting strategy? No. Did they fix it, evolve, and tweak it to the point to where now they have the number 1 portal class they just brought in, addressed a lot of holes, defense especially, every single area, edge, DB, corner and safety, linebacker, and now it looks phenomenal. Phenomenal. One of the best defenses, especially one of the best turnarounds in terms of a unit that everybody was complaining about across the board. But my point is that we've seen with our own 2 eyes at LSU, Brian Kelly turn this ship around. I think it can happen in Clemson with Dabo Swinney as well. I wouldn't overreact and fire him. Do they have tough games left? Sure. They got SMU, they got Florida State, they got South Carolina, and they're probably going to drop all 3 of those. And they're probably going to have a ceiling of 6-6. All that being said, I don't think you fire him. I think you take the money that you would buy him out with, go into the transfer portal, Umas, last dance. Don't kick him out yet. At the very, very least, you give him 1 more season. Lower that buyout a little bit and at least say, hey, we tried. We tried with the portal. I wouldn't kick him out after 1 bad season. That's my take. And I know I might get killed for it, but hey, bro, that's what this is all about. Expressing your opinion about sports, man. Go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let me know how you feel. We're going to be back live Wednesday at 1 o'clock doing an Ole Miss preview, and we're going to be ranking the SEC teams. Our power rankings come out Wednesday. Who's in the top 5? We'll let you know. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. Y'all have a great day. This has been the Verdin Verdict. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Back live at 1 on Wednesday.